Hello and welcome to what has turned into a complete and utter disaster zone. So we are up in the Lego City. It is a tip. I've had to move everything to get bits and pieces out, and it's just gone wrong very, very quickly, especially after how we left it after the last live, which was months ago. So I've not had time to come up here, but I'm going to give this a full redo and just try and tidy everything up. So I want to set this up to a time lapse. Now I've got bits and pieces being uploaded in the background that will be scheduled over December, but you can just see all of the nastiness that is about. I need to move tables, I need to do a lot. So main reason is I measured, and the Eiffel Tower by about that much will fit, but it has to go right in the center. And if it goes in the center at the top where the flag would go, it means it will fit in front of that wooden bit. So this table has to move, and then we've got just nonsense and stuff underneath. So it's now an excuse over the month of December to try and get all of this neat and tidy. I don't know if this is going to be in parts, or it's just going to be filmed over one very, very long sort of vlog video over multiple days and over the weeks up until Christmas and after. But hopefully in the new year we can start the lives again. But then if this is something that you quite like watching because you can't catch the lives, I might start doing more of these, maybe do a weekly or fortnightly Lego City update along with all the theme park stuff that we do as well, because obviously it is a Lego based channel, but we also visit a lot of the other theme parks as well. So everything you see has to move. All of this was designed bearing in mind with roads. It was all for the city. We started to move it all, and then I started filming a load of shorts, and now I just don't have any space, so I've moved everything everywhere. So the first plan is this table I want to pull out, because the table behind it, I want it to be basically where I do my editing and where I can set up for the live. So that'll work fine. Then I'm not too sure what those two tables are going to be. Not 100% sure what they will be on that corner. That, obviously, if I want the Eiffel Tower, will have to move completely. Tables got to come out, but the Eiffel Tower will go onto the floor. Then that will allow me to get all the architecture sets out, which will then turn into a mini land, which is, I've tried before, it looked nice, I ripped it out because I was stupid, but I now want to do that properly, which basically is going to be on the floor, and then we're going to build a staircase up to the table. But then it does mean that where we have started to put that city in, all of that will then be the theme park on that L shape all the way around, which was kind of those tables, which then gives us 4 tables. So you've got 1, 2, 3, table number 4 for the Lego City, he says. That is the long-term plan. That's what I want to try and get done over the next month. But today's challenge is to get this table moved, figure out how I set this to a time lapse, and just test it to see if it works. I will take some photos as a backup anyway, and then we can just basically crack on and get going. So I've just stopped to make sure that time lapses work. I've never done it before. I think it's working okay. Now I've grabbed the tape measure. So from the very, very top all the way down to the floor, you can see there's 2. So I've got the gap of the tape measure. So that is the only place it can go. Physically it has to go in the middle, but I think it'd look quite smart because that table comes out, like I said. But it does mean all of this has got to move. Now there's no way I would imagine that I'm going to get that done today as well as moving that table, but it would be quite nice. But then that will go over there, then that will get shimmied down, and then I guess I've got to move the city before I move the theme park. But I think it looked quite nice with the theme park wrapped around the Eiffel Tower, which will act as a mini land, because I know it's not in minifigure scale with regards to it being for a city, even though you can take the base out and it will look in proportion. But because it's more of an architecture set, I've had the minifigures beside the architecture sets before, and it kind of works in scale like it would be with human beings walking around the mini land at Legoland. So we will see what it looks like. You can see I'm just trying to convince myself if this is the best idea to move it. When I'm getting this thing, it's a completely different story, obviously because of the price point and everything else, but it can only go in one place. So if it can only go here, I might as well leave the space for it and then work everything around. But it's a good excuse to get everything tidy, but priority is getting this table shifted. Well, at least that bit is okay, because everything else is now even worse. And this is what I mean, you just got stuff on the floor. It's going to be a big mission. However, that's going to work really well as a desk, because that will obviously drop down, that'll all come off. The reason why I'm doing this is because I need to get into that bit there to actually put the stuff in, because there's like a hidey hole cupboard behind it, so it's a slightly different to what the Americans like. One of the cats is already up on there already. What I will do is I will put that table across here, and then I'll end up taking the legs off that, because what I can do is actually put another one of these against that back wall there, and then what I'll do is I'll get another one, and then I can just get a load of storage bins in there, put all the Lego pieces and everything on to get them off the floor, and then the rubbish that's already in there, that can just stay in it. Obviously the Lego sets that are on top now will go on top of a new one, but that table is just out the way for now, because I don't know if I can actually use it. I don't think I can, to be honest. I mean, I could cut the legs down, or I might be able to put the Eiffel Tower and the other bits on it, but I might end up cutting them up and actually staggering in the height of them, and actually have the mini land wrapping around the Eiffel Tower. And then obviously you'll have where this bit will come out, so I'll try and get another lax table. But the problem is it will stick out too much for the centre of the roof, which won't be ideal. But if I can get one there and then shimmy that over, push this back ever so slightly, it means then I can actually have the long coaster facing, so the fascia of the roller coaster would be like it is with the Daily Bugle, and then we can have like paths and things walking out, which will be about the halfway mark of the Eiffel Tower, which I think would look nice and different. But it's just finding the right height tables. So like I said, I'll probably end up stripping that one apart, stacking them up against that wall, maybe doing the same thing with this one to start with. I've got two lax tables, these little things here, which that was on and that's on. I'll strip them apart and I can just rebuild them as and when, and then it frees me up, because like underneath here I've got a Jurassic Park set that I need to make, but I haven't been able to do it because I haven't had a table to build it on. That's going to be the entrance to the park. Now with the actual theme park, I don't know whether to put the entrance on this side and wrap it round. I haven't thought about that far yet, and then get that over and come down. But what I will have to do is I'm going to have to take all of this off that table, dump it on that corner, which is going to be annoying, pick this table up to then put it roughly where it's going to go. Like I said, it will go across that bit. Yes, that is a plunge of death down there. That is where the ladders are, so that table will go across and it will fit basically to the green cabinet. That's why that one's going to have to come apart, so it will go off the back and underneath. Because of how the roofs and everything go, there's more storage behind the tables, but you can't put any of the sets there because you just can't get there, because it's just a standard UK, it's just a standard UK loft, attic loft, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you're watching it from, and it's not been converted, so that's why the ceiling slopes so much, because I'm right dead centre of the house. Hopefully the time lapses are working okay. I will crack on now and try and get this bit done. Okay, I didn't film that, but I did manage to move the table round. Nearly fell down the hatch after jinx himself, but never mind. After I've moved it there, I'm now thinking what I can do. Again, I'm doing this as I go. I'm not writing any of this down because it can only go one way, so I'm going to get all this planned. This green unit, I know, with the height, will fit behind. Obviously, I can't put anything on it, but I can put bits and pieces in. But what it might allow me to do is I could get 2 4s, put them on top of each other, use it as my storage, and then I've either got an option of walking around to get the bits and pieces, or I crawl underneath. Now if I'm going to crawl underneath, I might be able to push that directly to the wall, which then means I might be able to twist another one of these round, because possibly be tight, I've not measured it, and then I might be able to add another table in, or I keep it as it is. Where I'm stood, I've never ever been able to do this. I've got to, swing around, because all I've done is move the one table. Forget the floor, it's a bomb site, but there is a huge amount of space here now. So it's like a metre, well, 120, 130 wide, just in this one area. So what I want to do is I want to pick up this table, because I'm an idiot, put it here, and just see what it's like getting up and in, because obviously I stand up, come in, so I might be able to then go to the desk and sit there, and then this bit would all be open, because like I've said, this table, even though it's going, this whole space will still be used, because if it happens, it will go in the middle, but then I want floating shelves to the side of it, and it'll be all across the bottom. So that space has already gone. So yeah, I'll grab the table now, I'll put you down here, the all professional, and see if I end up breaking my neck, which is brilliant, and then go from there. So yeah, this is the issues and problems that I've got, because I've got to stand over all of these kind of things and just do all of this stuff. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to be up here for, so what I will do is I'll get this into place, see what it looks like, and then I'll turn you off, and then I'll catch back up with you at the end of doing this. There's no point in me doing a time lapse, because again, I'm not 100% sure if it works, but this more than likely might be multiple uploads, because it's going to take me absolutely ages, or I might fall down the loft ladders right now, and then that might be game over. But we will see, because the reason why I'm moving this is I could actually have this table and the other one still being used, because I could keep the one where it was. I could put this one down there. I mean, I could have cleared the floor before, but I prefer the challenge. So there we go. Ooh, that for a little bit of luck. Those old school 3-in-1 creator sets, they do not smash. So, would that be enough room, do we think? What do we think? So you stand up into the loft ladder. This can obviously come to that line if it wants to. I am stood. It might work. It might work. It's an option. Once all the floor's clear and everything, it'll just be a little bit easier to move, because we have all that space over in that corner, and that's where I want that green thing to go. Obviously chair goes here. Do I make the new city 1, 2, 3 lengthway table, 4 in front of these two, and then another bit off there? So do I extend the city to 5 tables? I guess that's probably going to be far too many. I've got, like I said, I've got those 2 tables in that corner, and I've got these not doing too much either. I suppose the easiest thing to do would be to shut the camera off, even though it is entertaining, because I know you guys like me dropping stuff, and just seeing where this table comes to, because I can't have this table overhanging. Oh no, I'm waffling. Let me know as we go. Let us know in the comments what you would do and what your configuration would be, because I could have just those 3 tables lengthways and basically pin it to the wall, because that would fit to the wall if that green unit wasn't there. Obviously I gain floor space, but don't gain anything else from it. But I need really four tables for the city, just with how much space it takes up, because there's 2 tables, well 3 tables worth already used, and we've got one table left for expansion. So I don't know whether to have this one over there and then maybe add into the middle at a later date. Like I said, one of these 2 tables, that's a word of this vlog, like I said, one of these 2 tables will probably either get butchered to create the floating shelves, or we'll have this one or that one instead, because they're slightly different heights, so I could have them stepped. So I think that might look quite nice. I'm making this all up without having anything in hand, but I do have a lot of architectural sets, and they did look nice as the mini land. That's enough for me waffling. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn you off, move some bits and pieces, spend another hour or so moving some bits and bobs around, and then I'll finish the video and then see what the feedback is with regards to you guys watching it, if you enjoy the updates and everything else, and then get my teeth sunk into what would probably be episode number 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, we're a little bit further on. I've not really done too much to the floor, but I have had a bit of a mess around with this table, and as you can see where this Lego bag is, just to try and give it a different bit of a colour, because it might not come through in the camera properly. We've got plenty of room, so loft ladder, plenty of gap to walk through on there. I've almost created a horseshoe, and there's actually quite a good bit of gap here, which I can stand in and sit down, because that bit will actually be where I sit on the floor. And then, like I said, ideally the tower goes straight up. But when I'm doing the lives, that will be what you would see. So you would see the corner of this table, and you'd see everything down there, and you'd see the bit up at the top. So it would probably be about there. So I think that should look effective enough. And then you'll be able to see the floor, you'll be able to see up, I can sit down. But it now does mean that this table here, this one, I now can put back over here, and then I can pull that table out and put that table here, but I've got to get that stuff off. That stuff has to go over to that side because I want to keep that done. The Daily Bugle obviously have to move forward because you're not going to be able to see it. And again, I've got problems with the ceiling height because the Daily Bugle can only go in a couple of places as well, and that fan can only go in a couple of places as well. So I've kind of got to build bits and pieces around everything. And with the height of that coaster, you can see the flags are basically touching the ceiling. Now, this table is lower than the wooden table, so it does mean that when it gets stepped up, the steps might have to be the coasters either side of the Eiffel Tower, just so I've got the ceiling height, because it means I can bring it in a little bit more. Because if you put it at the front and you put the smaller stuff behind it, as everybody else knows, you're never going to see anything. But I have got a huge L-shaped space that I am going to create with regards to putting all those bits and pieces there. I did originally say it was 2 meters, but he did actually have it on a table. The actual height of the Eiffel Tower, so I'm correcting myself or clearing it up now speaking to you, is actually, with the dimensions directly in front of me, is 149 centimeters, which is 1.5 meters. And if you want it in inches, it is 59 inches, and it's 23 by 23 inches or 57 by 57 centimeters. So the base of it is massive. Now I know this lack table is 55 by 55, but I think that is under 0.5 meter tall. But what I want to do is I want to plonk this onto this little bit of carpet just here, go directly up to the ceiling, and then see if I can get the Eiffel Tower on that table, because I have got 2 of them, which then means these 2 tables can be pushed side by side. They can go where that table is, that table then be lower, and there's your mini land. And then we can just create the stairs, we can create a lift going up into the rides, and then potentially we could put something else underneath that as well. We might have space for some of the smaller fairground rides if we put anything on the floor, or we could put a car park directly on the floor, which might look quite cool. I'm now making this up as we go. But let's get this table just here, let's get this down on the floor, let's get this over there. We will pick you up. We're going to drop. How much is going to smash? Ah, the roller coaster. Joyful. Right, you are coming down with me. Come on. You survived. There we go. Right, so that is how low this table is. It's much lower than the others. Let's get this tape measure out. Let's get him up, and let's see what is going to happen. So, where are we? Oh, we need 1.5 meters going up in a straight line. Where are we? That's 160. That's reading that properly. So that's touching the ceiling at 160. You've got the tape measure as a bit of buffer. That is pinned to the roof, because don't forget, I need to be able to get the bit up and over. So hopefully that'll do. But it looks like the Eiffel Tower will actually fit on this. Takes up the whole of that base. I'm sure this is 55 by 55. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so that's 55. So it is, the base is going to be, it'll be wide enough, but it won't be deep enough by a smidge. It will overhang, but going by how the feet are, that should be fine. So I'm going to stop it on a high because I want to make sure that the time lapse is working correctly. Now, if it is working correctly, plan of attack will be next. Clear this table, pull this table out. I'll just take it apart for now because it's quite handy having all of this space around. Put that small axe and that small axe in front of it just to make sure that it will fit, because I've actually got more space underneath as well, going to the left, because actually it's shorter than this, so it could work out for the better. Completely by mistake, to be honest. I was willing to work directly off the floor, but then didn't compute that it wasn't a table because I'm a melon. When that gets cleared, then it means all of the coaster stuff can go over. That will then leave the rubbish. I can tidy up the rubbish, I can tidy up the spare parts. From there, the Ninjago bits and pieces and the Colosseum can go onto these two spare tables, which I don't know what to do with. I don't know what to do with the pirate ship either. I don't know whether to maybe have it on display in the units if it will fit, or use it as a calf or what. I'm not too sure. But then it does mean that I can take that table down, move that over, then put that table in the correct space, and then I don't have to rush about getting, because it's obviously getting close to Christmas and I've got a lot to do before then. I can get 2 more of those Kallaxes and put them there, and then we can figure out if we're going to have the Colosseum over with the Eiffel Tower and make it as one massive sort of mini-land display, because that Colosseum might go underneath this table and I could put a drop light onto it, and then we could have, yeah, so there's options. I think there's options. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do with that, because that obviously takes up 3 squares, and if I only got the 2, it would just take up 2. But then maybe we don't put it there, we put it somewhere else. But like I said, all of that will develop naturally as we go along. I want to get as much of this done as possible before January. I'm going to start the lives again with you guys in January, because it was quite nice to catch up with everybody, doing all the bits and pieces, hearing everybody's feedback. But I thought I'd do sort of this vlog video diary of the room. Let us know if this is stuff that you like to see, me making an absolute fool of myself, and the process and the progress of the room and what needs to be done just to get one thing in. Because like I said, with the blade and how close that blade is to the top, it can only go in a certain place. So you see that hits there, but if I spun it around and angled it a little bit more, it would miss the roof. It's going to be good fun with the Daily Bugle as well, so that's why I want all of that to time lapse, because more than likely I will end up smashing everything. I can now get to all the bits and pieces out on the floor easy enough. I can go and get some big storage containers, then those storage containers can go in that bit just there. That's why I need to have access from that. But guys, thank you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully I haven't made a fool of myself too much, but it is quite nice that the Eiffel Tower, I'm saying like I'm getting it, I'm not. I'm just making plans in case I stumble across one, fingers crossed. It will fit on that table. But guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. You guys take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-da.